let's chat about some of the biggest winners and losers on match day 8. In terms of winners, we've got Lille winning 6-1 against Feyenoord to move inside the top 8. Aston Villa also finished inside that magic number. They started the day 9th, having beaten Celtic 4-2. Inter Milan winning 3-0 against Monaco to finish the league phase 4th. I suppose the losers, AC Milan losing 2-1 at Dinamo Zagreb to drop out of the top 8. They now go into the playoff round, as you can see there. Zagreb themselves winning 2-1 over AC Milan, but they were eliminated by 1 place in 25th, and Stuttgart losing heavily 4-1 to PSG to be eliminated in 26th with 10 points from the league phase. Let's start by talking about the French side Lille, because I think if we did our picks at the start of the season prior to match day 1, I don't think anyone would have put them inside the top 8. But it goes to show, when you've got someone as strong as Jonathan David going forward, you can really do it.
Yeah, he's been good, and he has scored big goals for 2 years now coming off the bench. He scored goals in Champions League for them, and now they're struggling a little bit in the league, but they've earned this spot here. And to score 6 goals in Champions League, it's not a terrible Feyenoord side. It's a team
that's beat Bayern last week.
Yeah, I mean, they're really competent. They get forward with numbers. Again, another one of those teams that loves to have the ball at their feet. They put you under pressure all the time. Jonathan David, he's been a goal scorer for them, as I mentioned, for a little while. This is a really good finish here, beating a couple of defenders, just finding an inch of space here. So they're a dangerous side. I don't know what to expect from them, Grella, in this Champions League, because I think they're a little bit of an unknown, if you will.
Yeah, for me, I was most excited about this match. You didn't come to me earlier when I think you asked Marco. Instead, he went to the Atalanta. I was most excited about this one because it was a big match. This match depended on who could get into the 16, into the automatic stage and get the bye. And Feyenoord just had beaten Bayern Munich 3-0, and they're an exciting team. These two teams were similar, both playing a 4-3-3, big personalities on the smaller side of things. You know, Lille 5th in the league, Feyenoord 4th in their domestic league, respectively. But big personalities come and play against the big teams. So I was like, wow, this one's going to be great. And I actually gave the edge to Feyenoord. And then the way Lille performed, the way that they're organized, the way that they're powerful physically, Jonathan David leading the line, the amount of goals he's scoring, the growth in that side. Tonight was a huge statement win, and they propelled themselves up. And look where they kicked Feyenoord all the way back into the table.
Does he stay at Lille? Because he's kind of in the shop window. There's plenty of teams around Europe who need a good striker.
I think there's too much of a merry-go-round for the striker position come this summer. There's so many big teams that need a number 9, and especially the financial aspect of it comes into play, because he's probably going to make a lot more money, you know, leaving as a free agent than he would staying and renewing his contract with the club. So I don't see him staying in June, but I think in January, there's only a couple of days left, right? It ends February 3rd, February 2nd, February 3rd, the market. I think it'd be hard to be able to take him away at this point, but come June, I don't think he's staying.
For Inter Milan, we've spoken about Aston Villa, so we'll move on from them. But Inter Milan, 3-0 win for them over Monaco to finish the league phase 4th. And we've got a comment that just came in on YouTube for this one. I think the favourite team to win the Champions League is Inter Milan. Marco,
I think my cousin might have commented this.
Your cousin Safet Utik has.
No, it doesn't end in a vowel. It's not your cousin.
Probably not. Probably not. My family in Sicily, they don't know how to use the internet yet. I think that this is not a crazy statement. I think he's absolutely spot on here. I think that they are
the favorite. You think the favorite? That's how he wrote it.
Okay, all right, maybe first or second favorite within this formation.
Don't ask him favorite question, dude.
I think Inter. It's difficult to rule them out because they've only conceded 1 goal in 8 games in this competition. That's ridiculous to do. 7 of those 8 games were clean sheets. And again, it's not just looking at the numbers and looking at what they did. They did it in second gear. They did it rotating a lot of players. They did it prioritizing Serie A over the Champions League, which is something that very few big teams actually do. And now they're starting to hit form with the important players. Dumfries gotten a lot better in 2025. Lautaro Martinez gets a hat-trick tonight. He breaks the all-time record for goal scorers for Inter in Champions League. So I say yes, nobody wants to play Inter. They could play you in so many different ways. They could play high. They could sit low. They're good in tough moments. Simone Inzaghi is one of the brightest managers, I would say, in all of Italy. And they're a squad. They're not reliant on just one guy. Anywhere they all their different players, they could hurt you and score goals.
And that man there, Lautaro Martinez, talk about someone hitting form at the right time.
This guy's a monster when he gets going, and always in the right positions. Just was missing chances. Again, he played a lot of games in the summer, played a lot of games last season when they won the Scudetto. So their biggest problem is that their age, right? Their average age of weighted by playing time, is 30 years old, and they've got Napoli, who's a thorn in their side because they won't go away. Napoli with big wins over Atalanta and Juventus and making the Serie A a very interesting race. Now Inter have to focus, being the oldest team in the league, they have to focus on both competitions. So that's going to be where the problem is. I think what they did today against a very good Monaco side, the way they dismantled them in 30 minutes was scary because they earned that red card, right? And people say, oh, Monaco got a red card. Well, Inter forced them to get that red card. They put their defenders and their players in positions to make the double yellow, that red card for Monaco, and then the way they were scoring goals so freely as well. I think when they play at home, also they're a scary team to play against. So it's going to be, the only question is the legs, right, and the amount of games, and how far is Napoli going to push them, because all season long up to this point, they've put Serie A first, and they've played their second team, basically. They've played more so their reserves. They have a lot of depth, but they've played more so their reserves in the Champions League. Moving forward, they're not going to have that luxury anymore.
Also, if this group doesn't do it now, they might not get another chance because they're still building off of that final that they had in Manchester City.
Important to get Çalhanoğlu back another couple of weeks with
Big
him on the sideline. He's going to be a big piece to that puzzle. If they're going to make a deep run in Champions League, he's going to be vitally important.
Absolutely. For me as well, they've got a point to prove after what happened in the Champions League against Atletico Madrid last
But to answer
season.
the question, they're not the favorites.
Okay.
Okay, if you had to take a guess who's going to win the Champions League, for me, I would put Inter as the guess to win the
They
Champions
could definitely win it, but there's like a tier of
So they're
probably
your
2 or 3
favorite.
teams.
They're my favorite.
Okay.
And then Inter's just right there.
We saw the betting odds, though, before, and I was shocked to not see Inter amongst the top. For me, they would be third in the power rankings, right, officially. Yeah. I think I have this sneaky feeling. Maybe it's what do we say, the year of the snake before? And they're the snakes
They're
in
the
Italy.
snakes in the grass, aren't they? Kind of lurking.
Yeah, I think that they're going to go on and win the Champions League. If I had to make a crazy guess right now, but yes, you should put Liverpool and Real Madrid ahead of them at this moment.
Slightly different feelings for the fans of the two Milan teams. Inter Milan very happy. AC Milan probably not so happy after their performance at Dinamo Zagreb.
The deep breath from Tony just said everything you need to know.
You can probably hear that.
I think they're confused right now. Milan fans are confused right now.
Surely they've got to. I know Dinamo Zagreb is a difficult place to go. You're playing in freezing cold, a stadium where there's not many fans in there, but you've got to go there and get a result, haven't you?
Are we talking about the freezing cold? Is that what we're doing? Is that what we're resorting to right now?
Old school.
Yeah, look,
That's for his whole career.
Yeah,
Look at the tan he's got. He's
that's
used to
true.
Florida weather.
I don't know. And I said at the beginning of the season, I still think if they qualify for Champions League through Serie A, that's a massive season for this side. Now, Conceição's come in under some really difficult circumstances. The team was not playing well. There were some results, including the derby against Inter and, of course, the result against Real Madrid. But there's still work to do at this side. I think defensively, they're really they're short, right? Especially now with Chao being out, Tomori being out. Today we saw a little bit of a mess. Okay, it's a mistake by Gabbia. We don't think that's happening all the time, but I don't think those two guys in the center of the defense are going to win you anything. They do have some pieces in the attacking part of the field. I still think Morata, they need more out of him. But Conceição's got some work to do with this team. I said at the beginning of the show, if you remember the first segment, it would almost been a bit of a travesty if this team finished in the top 8 of Champions League, because they are not a top 8 team in Europe.
I think what you see with them, with the results and the manager changing, and this is the issue, right? Gabbia today makes a massive mistake. He's usually been one of their better center backs. All of a sudden makes a massive mistake. You don't know if he's going to play an 8 out of 10 or a 3 out of 10, right? Leao, the same thing. I said before the game, depends which Leao we get. We could get the Leao that just passes backwards, doesn't look interested, plays a 3 out of 10. Same with Theo. There's some weeks where you say, wow, this guy is the best left back in the world. Then there's other weeks you watch him, you say, this guy stinks. He's terrible. His attitude, his work rate, he lets guys come in. He can't defend properly. So there's too many performances that are up and down, and you just don't know what you're going to get on the night. And even Musa, right, is another guy. And we're a big fan of all the Americans. We're constantly, giving them their praise. Great kid, has so many good tools, such a good player, but just not smart in that moment to get the red card. Now that puts them at a real disadvantage, and then they throw away, the result against Real Madrid and some of the good things that they did do in the Champions League. They throw it out, and week in and week out, this is the Milan that we're talking about, where the inconsistency comes from individual performances that we don't know we're going to get. Tomori's another one. You could actually go through the entire lineup except for Pulisic and say,
Reinders as well.
You don't know, maybe Reinders, and you don't know what you're going to get. Fofana, you could go through all of them except for Pulisic and Reinders. The rest you don't know, including the goalkeeper, by the way, who was the MVP a couple seasons ago. You don't know what he's going to do, and that is the frustration with Milan and why we're seeing this roller coaster.
They're the most unpredictable team in Europe.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Because the performances.
And it's almost like it's such a weird season from them. It's almost like if it can go wrong, it will go wrong. If you just think about the amount of moments, the fact that they're on their second manager, they're getting almost similar results where there's this highs and there's lows, and then the drama even at the weekend with Calabria and the coaches chasing him. Then if you go back to the water cooler incident, right, where Leao and Theo are on one side of the field and they're against the team, and then Pulisic is getting the penalty taken away from him 2 different times within the match, and they're not obeying the captain's orders, and the captain's armband has been swapped around a million different times. There's no stability. There's no stability within the squad. But Tony, you said it perfectly. They didn't belong in the top 8, and the fact that they had this opportunity in their hands because they earned it, they did well beating Real Madrid, and then they threw it away on the last match day against Dinamo shows once again this season that you can't rely on Milan. In the moments that you don't think they're going to come through, when they're 2-0 down against Inter in the Supercoppa, somehow they wake up. But then when they have to do games like this, they can't do it.
How can you beat Real Madrid away and then get absolutely dominated by a Juventus side that normally takes 1 or 2 shots on target? It can't be the same team, and the reason is, Marco says, stability in the entire club, but also individual performances just all over the place.
And they could, I mean, looking forward, they could face Juve in the playoffs.
They'll take that.
Yeah, Juve or Feyenoord. I mean, that would be a pillow fight between those two.
Yeah, and
Tell the goalkeeper, all right, you get 1 shot today. Make sure you make a save.
Yeah. You can't draw playoffs.
If they beat somebody big, you wouldn't be surprised. And if they lose a game like today, you're not surprised. And that's not the sign of a good team. There's no consistency within the group. But I still think the roster, there's still some work to do here.
The other big losers that we mentioned was Stuttgart. We wondered how that game would go, PSG against Stuttgart. We kept saying in the build-up how difficult a place it is to go for teams over there in Germany playing against Stuttgart, but they didn't show up at all, losing 4-1. Were you surprised by their performance?
I definitely was. I mean, we built up Stuttgart because of the results that they had, and they're another team that they're new to this Champions League, right? You consider where they were just 2 years ago when Hoeneß took over this club. I think they were 16th place at that point, and now they're in the Champions League. So you're going to find those inconsistencies. I think that's normal, but we expected more, and they are one of the bigger losers coming right now. A lot of the talk was, oh, can this be a tie? And they'll both be happy with it. But the way that they were dominated, they went up against a good PSG side, but I did expect more considering some of the performances that I watched from Stuttgart.
I think it's funny, you know, when you're at home on a European night, you usually have the big advantage. I think it actually hurt them tonight against this young PSG side because they went and tried to play them toe-to-toe. They went and tried to say, okay, let's play in an open match and let's see what we can do. And that's a big mistake against that PSG side that's basically built to play with space behind. And you saw some of the moments in some of the spaces they exploited. And Stuttgart, I think, got sucked in to playing in a game that suited PSG better.